Are you staying at home? So many people around the world must stay at home right now. Maybe you feel like you are stuck at home and you can't get out. It's hard and it can be very frustrating to be at home because you have a goal to go to school or go to work and get a lot done. But now you have to stay at home and work from home. How is that going for you? I'm staying at home right now too, and I've had to make a lot of changes. I'm not allowed to go to the university. And so every day I'm here at home. My cats are very happy that I'm home and we are safe and healthy. But it's an adjustment to stay home every day, not being able to go out. And when we go out, we do wear masks. I really hope things are going okay for you. In today's video, I want to talk about how to do your best to make progress with your English and IELTS preparation while you are quarantined at home. But let me first just say that if you are sick or someone around you is sick, then that is more important to take care of yourself right now. You don't need to be thinking about working on your English studies or your IELTS prep right now if you are sick. Instead, put the focus on taking care of your health. However, if you are staying at home and you are not sick and your family is not sick and you want to make progress during this time, then this is for you. So this lesson is called Don't Let the Quarantine Prevent Your English Progress, especially for IELTS. Before we start our lesson, have you liked this channel? Would you subscribe? Just hit that notification bell down below and you will be notified whenever I make a new video. I continue to make lots of videos to help you improve with your English studies and IELTS preparation. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So I wonder why you are watching today. There could be a number of reasons. Maybe your reason is that you are learning English and you want to improve your English skills because you need it for something in your future. Maybe you are watching this video because you want to prepare to go to an English-speaking university. And perhaps you have taken the IELTS test or a TOEFL test and you haven't gotten the score that you need to be admitted to that university. Well, whichever the reason, I support your studies and your work today. So the first question in today's lesson is, where do you want to go? This is an important question. Is your dream big? Perhaps you are thinking about becoming a medical doctor because you have a passion to help people become healthy and well. Maybe your dream is to innovate safer conditions in your home country, building infrastructure for the roads, or perhaps a health care system that is stronger than ever before. Maybe your dream is to build a loving family and a community. And perhaps you need English language skills for this, and perhaps you don't. But if your goal is to build and provide for a great family and community, that is a fantastic dream. Perhaps your goal is to start your own company. And if you start your own company, you do need the education and English language skills to go big. Or maybe you have the goal to inspire and encourage others. This actually fits in part of my dream too, because I hope to inspire and encourage students all around the world to be successful and to reach their dreams. The second question I want to ask you in today's lesson is, what do you need to get there? Now, you do have to take an inventory and decide what you need before you go. And so, one of the most common answers for this kind of question for students that I work with is English language skills. English language skills are very important for reaching the place where the dreams exist. And you might be using English for your daily life or your work life. You might be using it for study, or maybe it's more casual. You use English for traveling and you have friendships, chat friends from around the world on Instagram and such. And so maybe that's where you need your English skills. Well, this video can help you improve your language skills for that. Perhaps it's more specific. Maybe you need English for IELTS test preparation. Maybe you are trying to get into a university where English is the language of use in the university, so you must get a good band score in order to apply to that university. So what do you need? Maybe English language skills are what you need to reach that dream. With language skills, we tend to focus on four. Four skills, the listening, reading, speaking, and writing, can be broken up into two categories. Generally, we would say listening and reading skills are receptive. Receptive means that you take them in from outside, through your ears or through your eyes. That's the place where you generally would receive this language. And so it comes in from outside and goes inside your brain. Speaking and writing skills are what come from inside of you and go out to the people around you. So we call these productive skills. You produce language from inside of you. Receptive skills take a long time to develop. As you know, when a baby is born, they don't come out talking right away. It takes a while for babies to learn to listen and understand parents, and it also takes time for them to read, in fact, many years. But if you steadily work at developing these skills, over time they become stronger and stronger. Productive skills, speaking and writing on the other hand, are much easier to see the progress. Why is this? Because we can measure what comes out. And if we measure it, we can see vocabulary skills, we can see writing, we can see grammar, we can see conversational fluency. And so these are easier to measure. And so it's easier to track the progress. If you are planning to take the IELTS test, you must know about the test and understand how it will be given so that you can do well with it. And it does test the four language skills. IELTS test is a test to check your English language. And it checks listening, reading, writing, and speaking. The first section, listening, is recorded 4 different times with audio listenings that you have to listen to. And it takes about 30 minutes for you to listen to these. All the while, you'll be looking at questions and answering the questions while you listen to these 4 recordings. After you finish the 30 minutes, then you have 10 minutes to move your answers from your notes to the answer sheet. There are 40 questions altogether, so that means about 10 questions per recording. And I recommend that you write your answers on your notes first, where the questions are. Why? Because many times in a listening, it will start out with some information and you write that down first. But then it will change at the end of the sentence or at the end of the paragraph, and that's the key point that you need to know for the answer. And so you need to mark out what you wrote first and then write the second part. And if you do this on your answer sheet, it becomes a lot messier. So be sure to make the notes and use that 10 minutes at the end to transfer your answers. Remember, on the IELTS test, spelling counts. So if you spell the word wrong, then it's not correct and you don't get credit for it. The reading passages are 3. There are 3 reading passages on the IELTS test, and they usually are not so difficult at the beginning, but the last one, the third one, is much more difficult. It has higher level vocabulary and harder to understand. You get 60 minutes to read these passages and answer 40 questions. So there are 13 or 14 questions per passage. Because the last passage is much more difficult, I recommend that students pace themselves much faster on the first passage. Maybe 17 minutes for the first passage, 20 minutes for the second passage, and then 23 minutes or so for the last passage. It will take more time for the last passage. Most students tell me they just don't have enough time to finish the reading passages. I also recommend that you look at the questions first before reading. You don't need to understand everything. You just need to understand the parts that are being asked questions of you. So, listening and reading are the receptive skills. And so how can you improve your listening and reading skills? Some students come to me and say, I am taking the IELTS test in 2 weeks. What can I do? Sometimes I don't think they're ready, but they take the test anyway. If you are already registered for the IELTS test and must take it soon, then you must do a short-term approach. And taking IELTS practice tests are probably the best way to get familiar with the test and improve your chances. Also, it's good to learn some test strategies. But short-term study is not the best way for IELTS because IELTS is testing your language skills. The long-term approach is much better. And I encourage you to register for the IELTS test after you are ready. And so in the long term, do more general reading and listening and focus on building your vocabulary. The more vocabulary you have, the better you will do on this test. Vocabulary are words in the language that help you build your explanations. It's important to learn vocabulary and to learn them well. If you choose to practice high-level vocabulary, but you can't use it correctly, it won't help you. So always use vocabulary that you understand clearly and well. Now the writing section is another very difficult part for many students. There are 2 writing tasks, and you are given 60 minutes to write these 2 tasks. The first task is a description of a chart, a diagram, perhaps a table, could be stages in a process, and you are asked to write at least 150 words to describe it. It is not your opinion, it is a description or report of what you see. The second task is more like an essay where you have an introduction, body, and conclusion. You are asked to write 250 words for the second task, and it's often asking your opinion, to discuss points, perhaps advantages or disadvantages, or to discuss a problem or an issue. And again, you get 60 minutes, so it makes sense to spend about 20 minutes for the first task and 40 minutes for the second task. And finally, the speaking section on IELTS. There are 3 parts. The first part is more of a casual interview with the IELTS examiner, sharing your information and some general information about a number of things, maybe your hobbies, where you live, what you're doing now. Part 2 for speaking, you are given a card with questions on it, and you have 1 minute to prepare how you're going to answer these questions. After the 1 minute is over, then you need to speak all by yourself for 1 to 2 minutes. This is not easy. Speaking for up to 2 minutes is hard unless you practice, especially when you're taking a test. And then part 3, the IELTS examiner will ask you some questions about the topic on the card, and you will discuss those together with the IELTS examiner. These 3 speaking parts take about 11 to 14 minutes. The speaking section of the IELTS test can be taken on a different day, but listening, reading, and writing are all given on the same day. So, improving your productive skills, writing and speaking, the most important thing is to work at building a strong vocabulary. When you practice writing tests and speaking tests, it's very important to practice under real exam conditions. This means if you have 60 minutes on the real exam, you should time yourself with 60 minutes. Use actual practice tests, not just practice exercises. And do it as real as you can. For productive skills, I really do recommend that you get feedback from a teacher. A teacher can show you where your strengths and your weaknesses are in your writing and your speaking. And then after you receive this feedback, it's crucial for you to learn what to do with the feedback. Change where you're making mistakes and then repractice again and again and again. This will be the key for improvement when you're doing writing and speaking. This is difficult for some students because I've given feedback to some students, and students don't always like to be given feedback. It hurts. It makes them think that they don't know what they're doing. But don't think that way. Use feedback to your benefit. The teacher is a teacher who has prepared and studied many years perhaps is a fluent speaker and knows the language perfectly well and can help you. So use the feedback for your benefit. So let me just emphasize, getting feedback from a teacher is so helpful if you want to improve your writing and your speaking skills. So IELTS Writing Task 1 is a part of the test that I get probably the most questions. It's different than Task 2 because it is not an opinion. You need to report or describe what you see in the diagram, the chart, the table, or some form of visual that you are given. You need to report what is there and not tell what you think. It is not an opinion essay. And so students sometimes ask me, do I need to write a conclusion? No, you actually don't need to write a conclusion. In order to be effective with writing task 1, first you want to identify the key features of the diagram. Write down everything you see, the obvious things. What goes up, what goes down, what stays the same. Where can you compare? What is bigger, what is smaller? But look at parts of the diagram or chart and compare. Once you have found the obvious key features, choose the best 2 that are easy to write about, the most important. And then paraphrase your question prompt, write an overview of the 2 most important key features, and then 2 more paragraphs. 1 paragraph explaining the first key feature and another paragraph about the second key feature. It's short. It can be as simple as 3 paragraphs because you have the paraphrase and overview, the first key feature supporting paragraph, and the second key feature supporting paragraph. This is enough as long as you have 150 words. You do not need a conclusion. And the third question in today's lesson is, how can you create a plan? It's hard. Right now we are quarantined in our homes, and it's not easy to always feel like studying. In fact, it's easier to relax and not get up as early in the mornings. So let's talk about a plan. The first part of the plan is to set some time goals for each week, and you should be realistic. If you say, oh yes, I'm going to study 10 hours every day on IELTS, it's probably not realistic. I don't think many people would be able to do that much study in one day. So maybe you decide on Mondays you're going to study 2 hours before lunch, Tuesdays you'll study 2 hours after lunch, and you set a schedule for yourself. And when you decide how much time you can study, put it on your scheduler or on your calendar. If you set the time as a start and finish time, you will be more committed to it. If you write it down, you will follow it much better. And spend the most of your time working on your weaknesses. So for example, if you decide you will do 2 hours each day, the first hour, maybe you're going to work only on writing task 1 because that's where you struggle the most. And then you'll spend 30 minutes working on reading and then 30 minutes working on listening. So that might be an example of how you spend more time working on the weakness. Perhaps grammar structure is one of the biggest problems for you, and so you decide 3 days a week for 1 hour you'll be working on understanding how to use clauses in your writing. So be specific and work more on your weaknesses so you can become stronger. The second part is to set up some accountability for yourself. Tell your goals to your family. We're all at home now, and when we're at home, we want to spend time together with our family. Sometimes it's fun to be together with family. Sometimes it's frustrating, but tell your family what you want to do. And then ask your family to let you study or focus during that time. So if you schedule 2 hours to study for IELTS before your lunch, then tell your family, I will be in my room with the door closed, focusing on studying at this time. And tell them what you're doing so that they don't come in and ask questions and tell you to do something. It's easy to lose your focus if people are coming in and out all the time. And ask a family member to help you study, or make you study, I should say. I know that my own son sometimes says, "Daddy, I need to get up at this hour because I need to do something today." And it's an 8 o'clock start. He's at home, and so it's easy not to get up. And so he says, "Can you get me up at this time?" So I do. And I make him get up, and I ask him to go work on what he wanted to do. It was his goal. I just helped. And one more way to help set up accountability for yourself is to ask a friend to study together with you. I don't mean in the same room. I mean at the same time. You can chat with each other online and decide, on this day, every day at 2 o'clock, we're going to focus on our study. And if two people are doing the same thing between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, you can feel like you're doing it as a group. And this will help you because your friend will say, "Are you ready to start?" And then you'll say, "Yes, I'm ready to start. Are you ready to start?" And so you start together. It will make you stronger. And if you do a little bit like this every day, you will see progress. The third thing I'd like to talk about is to consider how you spend your money. Don't waste your money on things that you shouldn't be wasting money on. If you are preparing for IELTS, I recommend that you use reliable materials. Use the best that can be found. Of course, IELTS is a test developed in Great Britain, and so Cambridge and the British Council materials are probably the best materials to use for study. You can find a lot of practice tests in their materials that are actual practice tests that were used in the past. You can also find really good instructional materials in their books. So go with good materials and be careful what you find online. There are some really good teachers online, but there are also some who are trying to sell your certificate. This is always a scam. You cannot get a certificate that will be true to your English ability if you just buy it. Don't waste your money on that. One other place that I often hear students talk about, one girl particularly last year at my school, she said that she took the IELTS test 6 times. She took the test over and over again because she was hoping to get a good score, kind of by luck. She studied some, but she just kept practicing by taking the test. And it's expensive. It's about $250 every time you take the test. So last year she spent $1,500 or so just on taking the test. That's a waste because she still didn't get the score she needed. She should have spent more money on what she could improve with. And so find good materials, get a study plan, and consider paying for the benefits that you get from teacher feedback. Feedback is hard to listen to, but if a teacher understands the test and your English language skills, they can help you improve and change the areas you make mistakes on. So, how can you use your money the best? Don't spend it wastefully. Spend it in a way that will give you the best success by using good materials and getting good feedback from a teacher. Would you like to improve your English and prepare to get a higher IELTS score? Probably yes, because you are here for this. But why? Why are you watching this? I know you're watching today for a specific reason, and I also know that it's an uncertain time. Right now, all our schools are closed, jobs are stopped, and we don't know what's going to happen next. You might feel uncertain about the future because of this worldwide pandemic. You don't know when it's going to be safe again to go back to school. You also might feel nervous and excited because you want the chance to study or work abroad. You want to get the degree that will help you reach your dreams. I love traveling too, and so I'm looking forward to being able to travel again. So I do feel nervous and excited about that, but what about you? Maybe you also feel a little frustrated with your English progress. Maybe you need to get some help getting a higher band score. So I would encourage you to do that. Find good materials and get some good instruction from a teacher. So I'd like to invite you to an online course that I'm working on. It's not finished yet, but it will be finished. And I'd like to invite you to my course. It's called IELTS Made Simple. I've decided to go ahead and open the wait list. So if you are interested in knowing more about this course, add your name to the wait list, and then you can get some more information about it and decide later if this will be helpful for you or not. It's incredibly cheap compared to taking a class at the university. I've taught the IELTS preparation course at my university, and students have to pay about $1,000 to the university for that class. It's a little expensive, but that's about normal for universities. This course will be incredibly cheap in comparison. So I hope that you will consider joining the wait list. But this course, it's an implementation program that not only will help you understand the IELTS test, but it will also give you strategies to raise your band score and build your confidence for success. By the end of the course, you'll be able to understand the structure of the IELTS test well. You'll understand your strengths and your weaknesses. You'll learn strategies to work on your weaknesses. You'll have a clear plan for your success, and you'll be confident in your progress. So if you're interested in joining the wait list, go ahead and click the link that you find in the show notes below. And I'll look forward to sharing more with you about this course once it's ready. And I'll keep working on it to prepare it for you. So there you have it. That's the lesson for this video on how not to let the quarantine prevent your English progress, especially for IELTS. Thanks so much for watching. And stay at home, stay safe, and stay healthy. And I hope you'll like this video. If you have any questions or comments, please write them down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. All right, thanks so much. If you want to know more about other videos that I prepared here on this YouTube channel, please take a look at these. I hope they'll help you with your IELTS success. All right, well, we're at home and we're staying safe. See you later.